for refusing to help my cousin plan her wedding after she excluded me as a bridesmaid? Welcome back to Reddit Stories, where real-life stories are told in the most authentic, dramatic, and emotional way. Today, we will take a look at a seemingly small story that touches on self-esteem, personal limits, and even the hurt in family relationships. The story is titled, AITA for refusing to help my cousin plan her wedding after she excluded me as a bridesmaid. Get ready, because today's story will make you ask yourself, should kindness be given unconditionally, even when a loved one makes you feel excluded? This story comes from Reddit user You Throwaway Maid Drama. We'll call her OP, a friend who is in a very awkward situation with her own family. OP and her cousin Kayla grew up like sisters. Since childhood, they attended every family event together, went to school together, and experienced the ups and downs of childhood together. OP always thought their love would last forever, until Kayla was getting married. Kayla called OP happily, sharing her wedding plans. But then, the call turned into something that made OP feel like she was being doused with cold water. Kayla didn't choose OP as a bridesmaid, not because there was no room or for any objective reason, but because, according to Kayla, OP didn't fit the vibe of the rest of the bridesmaids. OP was shocked and deeply hurt. Although she tried to stay calm during the call, she burst into tears afterward. She had been there for Kayla for years, delivered her cousin's baby, cared for her through a difficult time, and now, she was being left out of one of the most important moments of Kayla's life. To make matters worse, a few days later, Kayla texted OP asking for help with wedding planning, from ordering flowers, to budgeting, to choosing music, to coordinating the wedding day timeline. She said, "Even if I'm not a bridesmaid, I still trust you to have good taste and be organized." OP felt taken advantage of. She politely but firmly declined. She said she felt disrespected, and that if she wasn't close enough to be a bridesmaid, she shouldn't be expected to be behind the scenes and handle everything like an unpaid assistant. The decision caused an argument in the family. Kayla called OP selfish, overreacting, and said that OP was making her wedding day seem negative. Some family members also said that OP should grow up, get over her ego, and think about Kayla on her big day. OP was feeling insulted. She didn't want to ruin anyone's wedding, but she also didn't want to be treated like a shadow. That's when she wrote a post on Reddit, hoping to get a real answer. Was she wrong to refuse to help Kayla? Immediately after OP's post was published, the Reddit community exploded with emotion. With tens of thousands of upvotes and comments, this is not just a story about a wedding, but a story about respect, boundaries, and self-respect in close relationships. The majority of Reddit users strongly supported OP's decision. They believed that OP had the right to refuse when being treated unfairly and unappreciated. If she doesn't think you're important enough to stand by her side, then you shouldn't be forced to be her unpaid assistant. You're not selfish. You're just protecting yourself from being taken advantage of. Families shouldn't ask you to sacrifice without respecting your feelings. NTA. If someone doesn't think you're vibe enough to be a bridesmaid, they shouldn't think you're vibe enough to be a planner. Some comments tried to offer a more balanced view. Maybe the cousin didn't mean to offend, just didn't realize how OP felt. If you felt hurt, you should have told Kayla from the beginning instead of waiting until you were asked to help. Remember, weddings are stressful times, and sometimes decisions are made that are misunderstood. You're not wrong, but a frank conversation could have prevented this from becoming a long-term conflict. A small group criticized the OP, saying she was turning a personal matter into unnecessary drama. NTA, but you're acting like a child who's having a tantrum. If you truly love your cousin, you should help, even if you're not a bridesmaid. Not everyone gets to be a bridesmaid. You need to learn to accept that. Getting married isn't easy. If you refuse to help, Don't expect to be invited again. The comment that received the most upvotes, over 35,000, came from user You Real Respect, please. NTA. You're not someone's event planner. You're a human being with feelings. If they don't choose you as a bridesmaid because you don't have the right vibe, then you shouldn't be the one quietly taking care of everything from the shadows. This isn't some supporting role that everyone has to accept. The comment was tagged with the major truth bomb flair from the community and prompted hundreds of people to share similar stories. The story sparked a series of subtopics: family boundaries and unreasonable expectations at weddings. Why do so many brides think others should sacrifice for them? Bridesmaids aren't a measure of family, but how hurtful can exclusion be? Have you ever been taken advantage of at someone's wedding? Many shared personal experiences. Being left off the bridesmaid list, asked to make photo slides, coordinate guests, or worse, doing everything behind the scenes but not being mentioned at the wedding. After receiving overwhelming support and thoughtful advice from the Reddit community, OP returned to share more about the latest developments following her post. The update was filled with a range of emotions, from confusion, to frustration, to relief, and finally, to letting go. Kayla, her cousin, learned about the post. A mutual friend came across the viral post on TikTok and recognized the exact same story as Kyla's, so she shared it with her. Kayla then sent OP an angry message, accusing her of making a laughingstock of the bride online. The family was divided. OP's mother supported her daughter's decision, saying she had the right to decline if she felt hurt. However, OP's aunt, Kayla's mother, was furious, calling OP and scolding her for being childish and jealous. Some of her relatives began to avoid OP in the family chat group. Kayla has yet to apologize. Despite the controversy, Kayla did not apologize for excluding OP from the bridesmaid group, but instead expressed her annoyance that OP refused to help even though she was a relative. OP decided not to attend the wedding. After careful consideration and reading hundreds of supportive messages from Reddit, OP chose to withdraw completely. She did not attend the dress fitting, did not take calls, and announced her busy schedule to avoid attending the wedding. OP shared that at first she was very troubled and doubtful of herself, wondering if she was being too sensitive or selfish. But thanks to the sincere comments from the Reddit community, she realized that she deserved to be treated with respect, even in her family. I never thought the internet could make me feel heard like this. Strangers helped me understand that my feelings were valid, that I should not be taken advantage of just because I was a relative. OP feels more peaceful and grounded now. She has put her energy into truly fulfilling relationships and is planning a trip on Kayla's wedding day to reward herself. The story is a potpourri of emotions that OP and viewers find hard to shake. Hurt. When her cousin, whom she considered a close sister, left her out of the bridesmaid group without explanation. Confused. Because despite being hurt, OP still wanted to help, still wanted to maintain family harmony. Angry and frustrated. When she was treated like a support tool without any respect, to the point of only being called in after the list of helpers was exhausted. Guilt and remorse. Because she refused to help on her relative's big day, OP wondered many times if she was overdoing it. Release and freedom. Eventually, OP learned to set boundaries for herself and live without apologizing for it. Reddit once again proves why it's the place many people turn to when no one else is listening. The responses were quick, thoughtful, and empathetic, helping OP feel like she wasn't alone. Encourage OP to see her own worth instead of chasing after family acceptance. Expand the topic, with hundreds of people sharing similar stories. People who have been taken advantage of for their friendship, who have been secondary options in other people's lives. Reddit becomes a safe space where emotions are recognized, where anger is not dismissed, but understood. Character analysis. OP, a kind person, but once lacked boundaries, willing to give, without being sure of receiving anything in return. The story is OP's journey of learning to protect herself and say no. Kayla, the bride. A person who represents a type of selfish individual in disguise, grateful for help, but not respecting the true value of others. She never apologizes, but only gets angry when OP does not do what she wants. Two sides of the family. One side supports OP, the other side defends Kayla. This reflects the classic family dilemma. Is blood a duty? Lessons learned. You are not obligated to sacrifice for others just because you are family. No one has the right to make you feel guilty for defending your own self-respect. Not being chosen for the honorary role, not an insult, but a message. Learning to say no is learning to love yourself. What did today's story make you think about? Was OP too tough to refuse to participate in a relative's wedding? Or was it a necessary act of self-protection? And what would you do if you were in a similar situation, caught between self-respect and family duty? Share your perspective in the comments. The Reddit Stories channel is looking forward to hearing your experiences, analysis, and opinions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the most interesting, touching, or even controversial stories from the Reddit community. Now, see you in the next video. And don't forget, you deserve respect, even from people you call family. AITA for being upset when my mom refused to pay for my pink wedding dress? Welcome back to Real Reddit Moments, where we explore the most emotional, dramatic, and sometimes controversial real-life stories on Reddit. Today, we're going to dive into a very sensitive family situation, where expectations, traditions, and personalities collide violently on the most important day of one's life, the wedding day. The story is titled, AITA for being upset when my mom refused to pay for my pink wedding dress. Follow along to find out if OP, the bride-to-be, is really as selfish as many people think, or is simply trying to be true to herself in a world full of pressure and traditional prejudices. This story comes from Reddit user upinkbride92. We'll call her OP. A 32-year-old woman who's getting married after a long wait for the right person. OP has always dreamed of a very personal, unconventional wedding where she can be herself, including wearing a pink wedding dress instead of the traditional white one. OP grew up in a fairly conservative household where tradition was always a priority, especially from her mother's side. However, OP has always been an individualist, loving things that are different. Since childhood, she has been passionate about fashion, art, and all things pink. When OP got engaged, she happily told her mother that she wanted a pink wedding dress, not white. She found her fateful dress at a special design shop, priced at around $2,500. Her mother had promised to pay for the wedding dress as a traditional wedding gift to her daughter. But when her mother found out the dress wasn't white, she immediately refused to pay, saying, "If you're going to dress like a Disney princess instead of a proper bride, then pay for it yourself." OP felt insulted and hurt, as she just wanted her wedding day to reflect her own personality and love. Things escalated when her mother called wearing a pink dress disrespectful to her family and tradition. OP shared the story with her fiancé, who sided with her and even offered to pay for the dress. But OP was still upset because she felt like her mother didn't accept her for who she was. Things got worse when OP's mother began to tell relatives about the incident, but in a twisted way, making OP look ungrateful, spoiled, and self-absorbed. Some family members began calling and texting pressure OP to wear a white dress like an adult. The mother also threatened not to attend the wedding if OP remained stubborn. OP made it clear that her mother was not forced to pay, but the disappointment and hurt from the lack of support was something she could not swallow. After a sleepless night, OP decided to post on Reddit to ask, was she wrong to feel sad and disappointed in her mother? She affirmed that she was not angry that her mother did not pay, but because of the way her mother made everything a betrayal of tradition instead of accepting her daughter as an adult with her own stance and style. OP also wondered if she continued to wear the pink dress, she would be criticized by her family. But if she gave up, she would forever regret it. Is a dress worth damaging the mother-daughter relationship? I don't need my mother to like the dress, just that she accepts it as a part of me. So am I wrong to feel so hurt? After sharing her story on the ER the Asshole subreddit, OP's post quickly went viral, garnering tens of thousands of upvotes and thousands of comments in just a few hours. Supportive opinions. You alt fairy wedding. NTA. It's your wedding. Your mom needs to learn to accept that the new generation has different values. You bride of choice. I wore a lavender dress to my wedding too, and no one died. The color of my wedding dress doesn't measure moral worth. You just say not a white. Your mom is being overly controlling. If she can't be happy for you over something as small as the color of your dress, then the problem isn't with you. You empath mama. Her telling the story in a way that blames you is classic emotional manipulation. You have every right to feel hurt. Neutral opinion. You family first always. You have the right to choose your dress, but your mother also has the right not to spend money on something she doesn't support. You traditions matter. I understand your personal desires, but I can understand your mother if she has ever dreamed of seeing her daughter in a white dress. You gray zone bridal. This is a clash between tradition and individuality. I don't think either of you is completely wrong. You two just honest comments. We should sit down and have a serious conversation. It's possible that both parties are hurting from unmet expectations. Critical opinion. You stop whining. Pink. I think you're being overly sensitive. It's just the color of the dress. Why make it into a drama? You suck to poor parents. Parents are not obligated to pay for a wedding dress, especially if you're planning on wearing something ridiculous. You entitled. Much. You're not wrong to choose a pink dress, but you're wrong to expect your mom to happily pay for it. You think about others. A wedding isn't just about you, it's about your family. You're ignoring your mom's feelings. You throw the confetti. You're not wrong to want a dress that expresses yourself, but you shouldn't expect others to fund your choices if they don't agree. Buy a pink dress, marry the person you love, and let everyone else live with their choices. That's being mature. 45,000 upvotes. 6 Reddit awards. OP's story sparked a huge debate about personal freedom in weddings and traditional family expectations. Many people shared wedding photos in non-white dresses, from blue, black, red to pastels. Others recounted having their parents withdraw their sponsorship because they refused to have a church service, invite distant relatives, or wear long-sleeved dresses. Reddit has become an almost public forum for the clash between the traditional generation and the free choice generation. After receiving overwhelming support and insightful advice from the Reddit community, OP returned with a very detailed and heartfelt update, sharing what had changed since the original post. OP spoke to her mother again. After reading many comments about the need for open communication, OP took the initiative to ask her mother out for coffee to talk. They both cried, but OP tried to stay calm, explaining that the pink dress did not mean disrespecting the family. OP's mother apologized, in part. She admitted to overreacting emotionally, but still did not fully support the color of the dress. However, she also said, "If you truly feel that this is the choice that will make you happy, I will no longer stand in the way of that happiness." OP decided to pay for her own wedding dress. OP worked overtime at the bakery, canceled a few unnecessary expenses, and ordered her dream dress. Even though her mother didn't sponsor her, OP said, "It made me feel stronger than ever." OP's fiancé also joined in the mediation. He wrote a handwritten letter to his future mother-in-law, explaining why he loves OP and why the color of her dress doesn't define loyalty or formality. OP shared that she felt more at peace, more mature and happier with her own decision. She said, "My mom may not love the pink dress, but I believe she loves me. And in the end, that's what matters most." She also said that posting on Reddit and reading thousands of comments from strangers made her feel less alone, less judged, and more empowered. Thank you, Reddit. Not just for calling me an NTA, but for making me realize that being myself on my wedding day doesn't require anyone's approval. The story is a classic example of generational conflict and the clash between tradition and individuality. OP feels hurt and unsupported during one of the most important moments of her life. For her, the color of her dress is an expression of identity, individuality, and true love. OP's mother represents the older generation, where formality is measured by tradition. The wedding dress is white. The ceremony must be formal. When OP breaks that pattern, she responds by withdrawing financial support as a way of expressing disagreement. The conflicting emotions here are not simply anger over the dress, but frustration at feeling that her family does not support her being herself. Reddit acts as a mirror. Not only did the community unanimously call OP not the a-hole, NTA, but they also shared similar experiences, from brides wearing blue and red dresses to brides whose families disapproved of their choice of traditional clothing from other cultures. Comments from other mothers, couples who have been married, and even wedding planners helped OP understand that the dress doesn't define a marriage. Love does. Reddit isn't just a place to vent. It's a multi-dimensional community that helps the narrator see herself from many angles. Character analysis. OP, someone who has a clear sense of self, of the image she wants to build on her wedding day. She's not unreasonable, but simply craves recognition and affection from her mother. The mother. She's not completely bad, but simply can't overcome cultural stereotypes. However, she also knows how to adjust. And that shows that she loves her child, just in the wrong way. The fiancé. A bright spot, the one who is in the middle but still plays the role of mediator, loves OP properly, and respects her mother. Lessons learned. Tradition is not a law, it is a suggestion. Each generation can respect tradition without being bound by it. Love is not just shown by paying, but by listening and supporting. Everyone has the right to create their own wedding day, because it is their own love story. Families may disagree, but honesty and understanding always have the opportunity to heal. Today's story reminds us that the true value of a wedding is not in the color of the dress, but in love, support, and the ability to be yourself. If you've ever felt misunderstood during a pivotal moment in your life, remember, you're not alone. There's a community out there that's ready to listen. Thanks for watching until the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe to Real Reddit Moments, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future stories. And as always, do you think OP is right? Leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your side of the story. See you in the next video.